Hey everybody, you're listening to Ivancast podcast. Hello George, good morning.
Good morning.
Nice to meet you. Yeah, it's my pleasure. I'm honored to have you on the podcast. This is also quite crazy. I am in South America, in Ecuador, and you, George, you are from New Orleans, right?
That's correct. I'm sitting in my living room in New Orleans.
Yeah. It's hard to believe what is happening right now around the world, isn't it? It's like so crazy. Are you also isolating at home?
Well, I'm somewhat, yeah. I've taken out, late in the evening and have dinner with my lady friend, and then come right back home. But for the most part, yeah, I've been pretty much isolated for the last, it's almost about 17 days now.
Yeah.
My granddaughter and her husband lives next door to me, and we have a big side yard. So I get to see the kids every day, but we still stay. We do the social distancing thing.
Yeah. That's great to know. You're.
I spend most of my time with me and my dog.
Yeah, that's great. So you have your family around. Do you have some sort of fear or sadness about this whole situation? Do you feel prepared? Do you think things are going to be all right after this, or are we going to change as humans? Have you thought about it maybe in the last couple of days?
Well, I'm very positive that mankind will figure out how to survive this. I'm not particularly, hopeful that the government will be the people that find the issue, but maybe they will figure it out. All we got to do is just kind of do what we're supposed to do, stay away from each other, and maybe it won't spread to this neighborhood.
Exactly, that's exactly what I think. We should stay inside. I think that's the best thing to do right now. So, George Potter Jr., thank you so much for being part of the podcast. Thank you for accepting my invitation. You've been doing music for what now? Over 50 years, maybe?
Well, I started playing and getting paid at the age of 10. I started playing at 8, and
when you were 8,
paid, but it was very little money. But I considered getting paid at 10, turning professional.
Yeah.
I am 72 years old. I'll be 73 this year. So I've been doing it for well over 60 years.
Over 60 years of making music. That is just so amazing. So let's jump right into the podcast, into the conversation. I have so much I wanted to talk to you about. So are you good to hang out for a little over half an hour, maybe?
Sure.
Awesome. So, George, what is funk? What is funk music? So, like every time when I hear your music, I hear the funk coming out. I'm talking about the meters right now. So, these long notes, the fat holes. It's like I hear always one very major groove and different grooves around it. Drum rhythms. What is sort of your definition? How would you define your own sound? Talking about the meters now.
Well, I believe that it had a lot to do, probably more to do with drums. The pocket that the drums created.
Mm-hmm.
That I, as a bass player, I came from the era when it was important that the bass player and the drummer acted as one.
Yeah.
So, I didn't always think like that. I didn't start thinking like that until I with Alan Toussaint. Mm-hmm. That he instilled in me that it's not what you play, it's what you don't play that makes the groove happen. So after learning that particular part, I think it made the meters absolutely a more fluent band or a group of players, because we started leaving. I started leaving space and what I did. So that there were holes in the pocket, for
Yeah.
keyboards and guitar rhythm parts to function well.
Yeah.
So it was pretty much that schooling that made everything work.
Funk, the rhythm of the one. And I'm not sure right now, but I think Bootsy Collins also once said that fun music is like, in general, everything that happens when you are actually not playing a note, like the silence between the notes. And when I discovered your music and, Parliament Funkadelic, Sly and the Family Stones, because I play bass guitar too, and all those bands listening exactly to those spaces between notes, it made me realize what is actually to be, I don't know, a musician, what is actually to play really funky, deep grooves.
Well, I'm not sure if there's a secret. I believe that it's just I mean, outside of the fact of always knowing where one is, that's, and I mean, I think the difference in what that happened with meters versus Parliament and Bootsy and those guys was that we used to tend to play on and of one rather than on one.
Okay.
The one we would leave that space. One was maybe space, and we would play the note going through that one.
Yeah.
There was a lot of meter tones where, when people try to interpret it, they always interpreted it wrong because they thought that first note they heard was one.
Oh, really?
And that first note they heard was actually and one.
Wow, cool. That's good to know. Me and I had a band in Germany. I lived there for 12 years, and we were definitely inspired by your music. I remember the drummer and I, we would spend hours and hours rehearsing, trying to emulate your sound kind of thing. And we even recorded a song, we call it the Meters Jam, and we were just wanted to pay homage to your unique sound. So if you want, George, I can send you after the podcast the song that we recorded. I think it was 10 years ago or something.
Sure, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, that's great. So
And then also, I want to also express that that there were songs that were in our catalog that like I said, starting on and1, but it was like sometimes it would be one and our first note would be on the and rather than on one.
Oh, okay.
We abandoned one a lot of times in a lot of the really deep pocket stuff that was that we did versus the stuff when the guys started wanting to write more commercial type songs to get music.
Yeah. So you mentioned you started making music at the age of 8. Why did you decide to pick up a bass guitar? How did all this start with the bass guitar?
Well, I think my idea of playing bass guitar, I was at the age of 8. My mom gave me an acoustic guitar. It was one with the gut-haired strings, and my teacher, I had to take lessons.
Yeah.
That was a part of the deal. I get the guitar. I took lessons. So I had to take lessons.
Yeah.
And the teacher that I was going to, because of the type of instrument I had, if it would have been a guitar with metal strings, he probably would have started me on different music. But because it was that type of guitar, he started me playing classical formula.
Yeah.
All 10 fingers. Well, these mostly 10 fingers, but more 9 fingers. Than the left hand thumb didn't get to do as much work as it that it could have done, and that it got to do later. But those first 2 years, taking those lessons, I was learning how to play country western songs because the formula. Because of the formula, he thought those songs were easier to comprehend and to play. And I've learned to play that formula pretty well. But it wasn't until that second year that I was on my way to a lesson one Saturday morning, and instead of going the route that I usually take to go to the catch the bus, I took a different route, and I was walking to Tulane and Galvez, and I turned on to when I got close to the to Grandview Street, I heard guitars playing. So I kind of followed the sound and saw this guy and my father sitting on the steps playing guitars, and the old man, his grandfather, was playing just with this classical formula, using the thumbs and all four fingers on the right hand, and the songs he was playing was St. Louis blues and some of the old blues songs.
Yeah.
And I thought that I said, man, why is my teacher teaching me how to play that stuff? That's the music I would like to be playing rather than Red River Valley and Home on the Range stuff.
Yeah.
And so for the second recital that I did, instead of playing Red River Valley, that was on the list on the program that I was supposed to play. I played St. Louis blues, and and needless to say, my stop Vicky, my teacher was not very happy with me not playing the what I was supposed to play.
Oh, really?
So I'm somewhat kind of got dropped out of his class. And from that point on, I started listening to Pop and his grandfather, and I introduced myself to him, and Papi sort of at that point became my teacher.
Yeah.
His real name was Benjamin Francis, but they all called him Papi. And he too was a bass player that played guitar. And basically, I was a guitar player that eventually started playing bass, and that's only because when the Vietnam thing happened, they were drafting people out of New Orleans, but a lot of the young bass players and the electric bass players were getting drafted.
Oh.
And I kind of escaped that draft thing just because I couldn't touch my toes, and I was diagnosed as I had a crooked spine.
Okay.
But none of my mom doctors ever told my mom I had a crooked spine. It's just that I couldn't touch my toes. I was just probably out of shape. And so the military just gave me a full F status, and that's the only way I get to go to war is if there was a war. So
Okay. Yeah.
that was the way that went down.
That's.
I mean, playing bass guitar was a natural move because I had already been playing bass guitar playing bass and guitar at the same time for pretty close to 3.5 years.
Yeah.
4 years.
Yeah. Wow, that's such an amazing story. And New Orleans, of course, is well known for its blues music. But let's get back a little bit to the 60s and 70s. Can you, because I've seen pictures and documentaries, movies from that era, but from to hear from you, like, can you tell the audience worldwide, like, what was New Orleans like at that time? Like, how was music produced, recorded? What was the music industry at that time?
Well, when we first started recording in the mid '60s, we were actually doing it, with just a couple of microphones in the room, the band all set up in the same room, and we recorded. I think our very first, the very first 4 songs that we put out, Sissy Strut.
Sissy Strut.
Sophisticated Sissy. I think it was Look a Pie Pie. No, not Look a Pie Pie. It was Seahorn Form and Here Come the Meter Men. I believe that was the first 4 songs that we recorded, and those songs were recorded straight through the little Shure mixers, at Cosmo Studio. We was sure mixing straight to the what you call it, like a disc, a hard disc,
Yeah.
a metal plate, like it was cut into a metal plate. Yeah, and when we went back to go do the album, we actually recorded it to tape.
Okay, time for music now. You are going to listen to Bridges from the 2011 Can Beat the Funk album. This song was originally recorded by The Meters. So enjoy the music, have fun, and stick around. Okay, cool. So we were talking about the way you recorded your first track, CC Strut, and so on. The New Orleans music scene in the late '60s. How you produced, recorded your songs. How was the music industry
Yeah.
at that
Well,
time?
well, the music, the scene in New Orleans at that time, early part of that time
Yeah.
was, most of the recordings at Cosmos Studio was being done, straight from, through little Shure microphone mixers.
Uh huh.
These little square boxes,
Yeah.
and it went straight to a disc. It was carded straight to a metal disc. Um, and that was our first sessions. The first 4 songs that we recorded was done that way. Yeah, when we went back to complete that album, to record that album, I then, which probably was maybe 4 or 5 months later, we recorded actually to tape, which was at that time again we were recording to tape, and he was using 2 of those mixers.
Yeah.
And one side was going to one side of the disc, and the other one was going to the other side of the disc, and to the other side of the tape. So this was before. I mean, I guess it was like it would have been pre-stereo. Basically, that's the reason why a lot of those early meter songs that was done on that album, the bass and drums was on one side, and guitar and keyboards was on the other side of that stereo system.
Okay, interesting. Cool. So that was the way you recorded. That was your first album, which is also called The Meters, right? Which is one of the it's considered
The first album was called The Meters. Yes.
Yeah, it's considered to be one of the funk classics of all time. I've heard that album so many times. I have the vinyl here.
Oh, you have a vinyl copy?
Yeah. I found one in Germany.
I have a vinyl copy, but I got a reissued vinyl copy from a record label named Sunday's Music that took and bought all those old masters and re-released them.
Yeah.
After Katrina, after Katrina.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I love that album. So 70s now. Let's talk about the year 1975, George. I read this on Wikipedia. Paul McCartney invited the Meters to play at the release party for his Venus and Mars album in Long Beach, California, and Mick Jagger was there from the Rolling Stones. He was there and he was amazed with your sound, so he actually invited you to tour with them across America and Europe. Is this true? Is this a true story?
Well, I don't remember meeting Jagger at that tour on that particular boat ride.
Yeah.
And that could be one of many stories about how we got invited to that Rolling Stones tour.
But you toured with them, right, in the 70s?
The one that I know about, and I think that's probably closer to confirmation was that and Ron Wood had pretty much introduced, not really introduced, but let's put it that. Let me go see if I can go back a little further. The Meters went to London.
All right.
With a New Orleans contingency, probably in the early 70s. I'm not sure exactly. I don't remember exactly when it was, but we did. We played that. I think it was Prince Albert Hall, and it was the Meters, Dr. John, Professor Longhair. Snooks Eaglin was supposed to go, but I changed it, but backed out at the airport the morning that we were flying out. And who else was on? Well, I want to say Alan Toussaint, I believe, was also on that thing. I don't know if Alan was performing or he was just there. But we went over and did that gig at Prince Albert Hall, and Movera, and so that's when in fact after our performance, the promoter had set it up where we got to meet all of the British British bands,
Yeah.
that including the Rolling Stones, Paul McCartney, a band called Faces,
Uh-huh.
and there was another. It was like about there was about maybe 8 bands. I don't remember all the names of
Yeah,
all the
yeah,
bands.
yeah.
But I remember meeting McCartney and Linda.
Uh-huh.
I don't remember meeting any of the other players, but I remember meeting Linda and John, and Paul.
Yeah.
Um, I remember meeting Rod Stewart and Ron Woods because at that time they were playing together.
Yeah,
This was
absolutely.
before Ron Woods had went to play with the Stones,
Yeah, yeah.
and then we met Keith Richards,
Uh-huh.
uh, the drummer Charlie Watts, and 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 Mick Jagger was also there. So
Yeah.
we met those. I didn't meet we didn't meet the bass player that night. I
Yeah.
don't believe he came to the show.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's our original. That's the way that
Uh-huh.
the Meters originally met some of those British players.
Yeah, wow. That must
Uh,
be.
um, and 75 when the Stones was putting together their 75 tour
Uh-huh.
in the U.S. By now Ron Woods was the guitar player in the band, and he and Keith had been fans of the Meters,
Uh-huh.
and they thought that they should use the Meters as for their Southwest dates that they had on that tour.
Yeah.
So so that's what happened. They came to the conclusion. I don't know what the conversation was like, but they came to the conclusion, and the Meters were invited to play 13 of the dates that they did in the U.S.
Wow,
Which
13.
consists of actually of the beginning of the tour. Actually, because I believe the first date was in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Uh, um, so we played 13 of those states, and then they moved on to I think Tina Turner did part of that tour, and I believe maybe Stevie Wonder did a part of that tour.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But from where I was sitting at, I thought it was actually Ron Woods who pretty much said, "Man, if we're gonna start this tour in New Orleans, we ought to start the tour with this band called the Meters."
Yeah, yeah.
And actually, we had already recorded a version of Honky Tonk Woman.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, we did Honky Tonk Woman after that 75 tour, right? It was after that 75 tour
Okay.
that we did Honky Tonk Woman. And so then, after we did really well on that 75 tour. And so when they announced the 76 European tour,
Mm-hmm.
we got invited to come and do the entire 75 tour, 76 tour in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
And we were over there in Europe with them. We played every show with them. I think it was a total of 70 some odd shows in 90, I think 96 total, 96 days or something like that.
Oh, that's a lot.
Yeah, we did the whole that, and we were the band that played before the Stones every night.
Yeah, yeah.
Some of the dates they had three bands on, 2 other bands other than us
Oh
on
gosh.
some of the really bigger the bigger venues.
Yeah.
And then but we would always be the band that went on just before the Stones, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah, that must have been such a crazy, surreal experience. I believe it's like I don't know. Is it really like really wild and stuff, like all the after geek parties and things like that? Can you tell me maybe or tell us one memory from that era? Because it must have been such a crazy experience, right?
Well, there's the stories that can be told from the Rolling Stones tour
Yeah.
that that could be considered non-favorable.
All right.
But
Well, this is a podcast. Here, you can actually say whatever you want here.
From a musical point of view,
Yeah.
I would probably think that musically, the Meters got to play in front of, for the most part, meter audiences.
Yeah, yeah.
So we played in front of people that didn't want to even hear what we were doing,
They were just
and
waiting for the stone.
and Paris. And when we played France, I want to say it was Paris.
Yeah.
We really caught hell, and the Stones, like, not the Stones, but Jagger and Keith Richards,
Yeah.
Came out on, because the audience was getting really loud and booing the hell out of us.
Really?
And those guys came out on stage, and they guys came out on stage with us, and told, Jagger spoke to them, and kind of told them, if y'all would shut the shit up, and listen at this music, y'all will enjoy it.
Oh
We
God.
played 3 nights. We played 3 nights there, and after those guys came out on stage with us and stayed out on stage with us for I think we played the song "Fire on the Bayou." And they came out and stayed out and sang with us on that song, and then they left the stage, and the rest of our 40-minute set
Yeah.
went killing, and we got a wonderful applause at the end of the set, and the next 2 nights really well. That was like the turning point for the band on that tour. All the other days after that went really well. I mean, people was accepting. And listening, because for the most part, I don't know how many bands ever played in front of Stones that didn't get an adverse reception. But after Jagger and Richards came out on stage with us and hung out with us through the whole song, they French audiences and all the audiences that we played after that. We always did well in England. In England we did always accepted in Germany because that European tour actually in Germany, and we did really well in Germany.
What was the coolest part of being in Europe, touring there?
Some of the Viking countries, that's when I got a chance to visit cities and and see stuff, because we were there more than one day. It wasn't a fly in and fly out. There's a lot of the history of those countries was always nice to to write about, lifestyles and the history of the cities.
Absolutely.
I was supposed to visit South America with David Byrne, but that tour canceled, and that part of the tour canceled, so I never got to go to
South America.
Parts of South America. That hopefully I will get down there sometime.
Yeah, that will be awesome. Yeah, it will be awesome to have you around here. Thank you for sharing those really cool stories from that time touring with the Rolling Stones in Europe. Now, the Meters are recognized as one of the godfathers of funk, the progenitors of funk. Lots of bands have made covers of your songs. Thinking about the Red Hot Chili Peppers right now, for example, they did Jungle Man. Have you ever met those artists or hip-hop artists that had made samples from your music? Like, how is the process to do so? Do they call you and ask, can we do a cover of your song? Or
most of that stuff is like hijacked.
Yeah.
No one asked us. Nobody asked about it.
Really?
And it's put out in secret, and because most of that music is sold through the what they call out of the trunk of the car.
Yeah.
We never know about it. But there was some big hits out there that the record label and the publisher of our music was will find out about and go after those artists.
Yeah.
But because of the way that the hip hop community set their recordings up, it never showed that they made any money. It always showed that that the record didn't make any money. So the band never got paid for any of that stuff. So that was a part of the music industry that I had a bitter taste in my mouth about. But that's the business,
Yeah, it's part of it. But I mean,
that's not a great story to be said for the music business as it is, because the business of music, if the artist isn't protected, and has not protected himself just straight up out of the box.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen. In other words, and the artists of my day and before my day, we weren't told about about protecting your publishing rights and protecting that kind of stuff. I mean, we were lucky. We were lucky in one sense in saying that that we actually all our songs got copyright in our names.
Yeah.
But all of our songs were published by our management. So the band never owned any of our public. 20 years, 25 years later, that we actually got our publishing placed in the name with a record label. Actually was asked. I mean, close to 30 years later. It's just the longest management had our publishing. They kept on telling us that our music didn't make any money. That we owed record labels owed tons and tons of money, and we never was told how much money we was owed.
Yeah.
That that we owed them, but we was just told that, man, y'all just owe these people lots and lots of money. Y'all got no royalties coming,
Yeah.
And by the time that that stuff got out of those people's hands, man, the very first year, I mean, within the first year after that stuff was hands, I mean, we started getting royalty checks that we had never seen before. It was like, wow. I mean, this kind of money comes in, because it's like we were being told that we owed Josie Records, we owed Warner Brothers Records a tremendous amount of money that we would never be recouping.
Yeah.
And I don't think we've seen anything from Josie's, because Josie put under as a record label, but Warner Brothers started paying us almost immediately. It was like unbelievable.
Yeah, unbelievable. Yeah, so the Meters, I think you have a total of 8 albums. Which one is your, I don't know if the favorite is the right word, which one do you consider to be the highest expression of your art? Like, which is the one you are most proud of?
I thought Rejuvenation was probably the finest work that the band did itself totally. I believe that Zig and Leo kind of saw that record all the way to the end, all the way to the to the mastering. Mm-hmm. So that would probably be considered. I would think that was the really good one.
Okay, cool.
I find it real hard to choose between those records.
Yeah.
I like them all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So you are still making music. You have your own long-term project, the Running Partners, right? Can you tell us something about this? Can you tell us about this music project? What kind of music do you do? How did all this start?
Well, the Running Partners originally started as a trio, and probably within 6 or 8 months after the trio started, we added horn players. And then we added a guitar player, and as it went along, probably within 2 years, it was all the way up to being like a 4-piece rhythm section with 4 horns. Mm-hmm. And it has evolved and devolved to some point that well, now the Running Partners is just a 4-piece band. Mm-hmm. But whenever I play festivals, I usually bring in the horns, because I've been wanting to play more, some of the songs that was recorded with horns. So it's at this point now today, which is almost, I want to say almost 30 years that Running Partners has existed.
30 years.
Almost 30 years, I think. I know the present keyboard player that's in the band now has been in the band for 27 years. Wow. And I believe the guitar player who left the band, when he left the band, he was like at 28 years, and that's been over 2 and a half years now that he's been out of the band. So I would think the band has been very close to 30 years.
Oh, that's amazing. So you are already touring and playing gigs all over the country.
And yeah, continue. That band tours more than any of the other bands that I've been performing with for over the last 30 years.
That's really cool. And are you still having fun? Is like the same feeling for like 50 years ago?
Oh yeah. Actually, I mean, today the band has the new drummer now has been in the band for over. I think Terrence Houston has been in the band now for about 11 years.
Yeah, I saw a couple of videos. He seems pretty young, no?
Yeah, he's a youngster, and but he's a wonderful player.
Yeah.
He has great energy, and he plays the original music from the original band played. He hasn't. He respects where the music came from. Naturally, he has added himself to the band or to the music, but he respects where the music came from. So, he's a good player.
Yeah.
And 2 years ago, almost 2 years now, Chris Atkins has been the new guitar player.
Okay.
I love the energy that he brings, and his playing is so wonderful.
Yeah, cool.
Like I said, Michael Limler, the keyboard player, has been in the band for about 27 years. And, and I call him my band leader.
Yeah, one of the founding members. Where can we find your music? Where can we get your music? Is it available on all platforms like iTunes, Spotify, and so on for the people that are interested in listening to your own project?
I want to say that it's probably available. I definitely know it's available at iTunes. I think Louisiana Music Factory has it online. There's another company, Homegrown Music, I believe, also has it online. There's not a lot of how you say physical copies anymore, because I kind of like. I am actually in the process of recording a new record with both bands. Because I also actually I have like about 2 years ago I started playing a Monday night gig here at home with two members of the Running Porters band, the keyboard player and the drummer, Michael and Terrence, and we call that band the Porter Trio, and it's been playing every Monday night at home when we hear, and we've been recording every one of those shows. We've multi-tracked every one of those shows, and since the present situation with the virus, we've been airing every Monday night. We air the shows from the Maple Leaf, the pre-recorded sessions from the Maple Leaf, just to keep people, and let them know that we're still alive and working,
Yeah, absolutely.
But we're not actually at the Maple Leaf. It's one of the pre-recorded shows. Oh yeah, I just was going to say that I could send you a link to that Monday night show that you can put up, and
yes, please. That will be.
Because they can listen. It's really cool. It happens every Monday night when we're home. We stream live from the club, so it's good.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, absolutely. Send me the link and I will put it also in the video description, in the podcast description. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about some technical aspects of your music, because you are a producer, I know. So first of all, what type of bass guitar do you play? What's your main bass guitar?
I'm presently playing a Lakeland bass that was custom built for me.
Okay, cool.
It's basically it was a Bob Glob bass guitar style that Lakeland had built for him, but then they took it custom the neck,
Nice.
to match up with my 48-year-old P bass.
Oh, cool.
So the neck of the bass, the neck on that Lakeland bass, which now is like 14 years old.
Wow.
Um, the neck on that P bass on that Lakeland bass is the same neck that's on my P bass for the most part.
Hmm.
I mean, actually, I think it's older than my P bass now because I played on it for 14 years.
Wow, really?
um,
Wow.
and then after Dan Lakeland sold the company, he designed a new line called D Lakeland,
Hmm.
and he sent me one of those basses, and after a little work on it, I did a little work myself, and so I've been playing that bass. So the two basses that I'm playing right now is one called a Lakeland custom to George Porter Jr.
Hmm.
and a D Lakeland, that's had some work done on it down here.
Wow, amazing.
I like both instruments.
Yeah, sounds pretty cool. And what's on your pedal board? Do you use a lot of pedals and effects?
I use on on um, on fly dates. I tend to use just the bass, which are called plug and fly,
Hmm. Hmm.
uh, um, or plug and play.
Yeah.
But on running partners dates or Porter Trio dates, I actually the Foundation of Funk dates, which is that Foundation of Funk band is Zigaboo Modernist of the Meters and myself,
Hmm.
and we've been using other players. But with those three bands, I do use pedals, and then EBS is the name of the company.
Yeah.
I want to say out of Switzerland, I believe. Or is it Sweden? Sweden, maybe.
I think it's a Swedish
I
company.
don't know. You might have to you
Yeah.
might have to research. You might have to research that one.
Yeah, I think they are from Sweden. Yes.
That's bad. I don't know. I don't know what the country is that my guys are from.
Yeah. You have worked with lots of artists in the studio. I just wanted to know because there are two artists that I like a lot, Tori Amos and Marianne Faithfull. What was it like to be in the studio with those ladies? That experience? Can you tell us something about it?
Well, which one you want first?
Tori Amos. Let's talk about Tori Amos.
Well, I've done three recordings with Tori,
Uh-huh.
and it was it was really very interesting in the way we recorded it because um, myself and the drummer basically came in after the fact, and we overdubbed our parts to her tracks. Um, you know, we would use click tracks to punch, and we punched in at parts of the song because the way she had recorded it, um, the tempos would change, and so we would have to change tempos to match how she recorded them. We did two records like that with her, and the third record, the band actually recorded with her. So, yeah, it was interesting. Just working with her, the way she liked to work.
Hmm.
I think she originally liked working, by herself, and
Yeah.
when how she felt, which I understand.
Hmm.
Just wanting to, just sitting down to the piano and play, I understand that. And so, but she wanted it to be with a band. So we would bring the band in later after she's done with what she had to do.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool.
Cool. Was it the
Who
same
else?
Marianne Faithfull?
Oh. Yes, yes.
her? Yes.
That was a pretty. I mean, I don't have a lot of memories about that record. I kind of remember that that she would come in. She was a wonderful singer,
Yeah.
and the platform for the music that we did. We it was kind of straight ahead. It was kind of we just come in and we kind of just record,
Mm-hmm.
and we would probably do. I think we in I think it was 2 days or 3 days we were in the studio with her, and I think we knocked out like 12 songs or something like that. It was pretty
Cool.
straight ahead session. It was nice. She's a beautiful lady. I
Yeah.
enjoyed working with her.
Yeah, yeah, I like her a lot too. Do you have your own home studio?
I have a home studio. Yes, I did almost all of my records for the last 12 years here in my house,
Yeah. Wow, cool.
and I've taken them to be mastered somewhere else, but I record them here.
You record them all there. I can imagine your home is also full of posters on the walls from your concerts, memories, and stuff. Am I right?
Yeah, my wife kind of put me all over it. So my wife had a friend came in town one day. And she walked in the house and said, "Oh my God, this is a museum."
Yeah. Yeah, 50 over 50 years making music, alive playing music, alive making music. I just wanted to know before we end the show, what's your philosophy on life as a musician? What does music mean to you? What makes a good musician? What makes a band a great band? What's sort of your philosophy on music?
Uh, well, I think it has probably two phases. One is the working knowledge of your instrument.
Mm-hmm.
I think the more you know about your instrument, the better off you'll fare out in the industry once you move into being a professional musician.
Yeah.
If you want to be a professional musician, then you should know the instrument. But then there's a part of the music that is I guess they make because everybody today music is so easy to get into. Like you said, I mean, most everybody got little studios in their houses, so
Yeah.
they be releasing. There are probably more bands releasing music today than there was when I was a kid.
Absolutely.
Just because they, back when I was a kid, they weren't, you couldn't, if you didn't have the right kind of money, you couldn't get into a studio to record because it was so expensive.
Exactly.
Now today, you can basically record in your front room, and record a very good sounding piece of music.
Yeah, yeah.
So at that point, now that has happened, I think it's important that you know about the music business itself. There's a couple of books out there that I'm not sure if what's new about it, or if those books have been upgraded, but there were a couple of books out 20 years ago or longer called This Business Called Music,
Mm-hmm.
which kind of gives you some good input on the business, and as well as the pitfalls of the business. Because this is a business, and there are people out there that makes money off of what you do.
Yeah.
If you don't have your business done correctly, the case in it is the meters. We did when we first started working in this industry. We didn't have a business. We were just four guys,
Yeah.
playing, that knew their instrument and knew how to play it,
Yeah.
and we weren't business conscious at all, and it took almost 25 years before we can get our music back from not even back, but get our music into the hands of someone who was going to pay us.
Yeah.
That was an ordeal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a lot of bands from the '60s had that. I mean, probably earlier than that too. It wasn't just funk bands that was good. I mean, they got country artists that signed those kind of crazy contracts, man, for life.
Yeah.
So this the business is definitely a business. It's not. I won't say it's an unfair business, but it's just a seedy business. And if you're going to be in it, learn it. Find out what to do. Everything you can do to protect yourself
Yeah.
and your music. Learn about copyrights. learn about publishing. So that you learn publishing, you learn copyrights, and you protect your music.
Yeah, absolutely.
That would be the second thing that you should do after you decided you want to be a musician for a living and play music for a living. Once you start going out there on the road and start traveling and thing, you have pitfalls that happen with nightclubs that need to you need to know how your things, how how that business works, because that's a business, that's a working business as well, and everybody's out to protect themselves. So you as a musician working in a nightclub need to know how to protect you in that business.
Yeah, certainly. You're totally right. I totally agree with you. And I think what the Meters have achieved during your whole musical career is amazing. You kind of never became a mainstream band, but you have definitely a cult following around the world. Why do you think the Meters have this such strong fans, a cult following worldwide?
I don't know how that. I don't know. I mean, I think it only could be is because that there was some good music there, and that I can't really come up with a real reason for why it never got mainstream. I think it wasn't mainstream. Or maybe it wasn't mainstream because it wasn't that it wasn't the music like everybody else was doing that was
Yeah.
straight ahead. We played syncopated music, and syncopated music isn't all that easy to dance to, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it had, it full on the floor disco feel. That definitely was not what we was doing.
Definitely. Last question, George. How can we funkify our world to make it a better place? What do you think? What can we do as humans, especially yet now with the coronavirus? How can we make our world a better place?
I read that question last night, and I was thinking about it, and I'm not sure if if funkifying our lives would be the answer, because I do believe that everyone has to pick a spot for a place for them to grow in life. I think being conscious of your neighbors and be aware of these as well as yours. It's very important. But I believe that with this process that's going on right now with this virus,
Yeah.
it's more important today that we be very visual about what's going on around you.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard it, but we lost one of New Orleans senior citizens in the music industry, a founding father of a lot of New Orleans music, Mr. Ellis Marcellus. He's a distant cousin of mine, but he was he was a part of that founding fabric and teacher of the music of New Orleans, and the virus took him out last night.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. I'm really sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I found out late last night that he had passed away. Yes, it was a blow to our industry.
Absolutely. So yeah, I hope we all learn from this. I think it's the best part is that we can do better things from now on. George Potter Jr., bass player of the Meters. Thank you so much for your time. It was so much fun. I learned a lot. It was so nice to hear your words. Thank you for your music, for your time, for your words. I had a few technical problems yesterday, but now we've got it. We got it done with this podcast. Thank you so much for your time, George.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day, Ivan, and to all your listeners, man. Be happy out there and stay safe.
Yeah, absolutely. This podcast will be available in about 3 weeks on all platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Teacher. So I will let you know when it's online, so you can hear it and share it if you like with all your
Excellent.
friends and family.
Thank you. So
Thank you, George. Yeah.
Post it to my friends.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool. Thank you, George. Have a great day there, and stay safe. Stay inside. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's call it a day with a song, another track from George Potter Jr. I hope you enjoyed the show. The next song, the last song, the final song of the show is from his solo album. It's Time to Funk, recorded and self-released in 1997. This song is called Talking About My Old Friends. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bye. Peace.
Sometimes when the lights are low, I remember friends I used to know. Their faces always smile at me, bringing back some memories. Like Tipitina's back in '93, singing things ain't what they used to be. Talking about my old friends. Talking about my old friends. I know I will see them again. Talking about my old friends. Started when I was young, all the way back around '61. I was just a kid checking in. They were doing the trick back in the Popeye too. At the Dewdrop Inn, they played the whole night through. Talking about my old friends. Talking about my old friends. I know I'll see them once again. Talking about my old friends. Conversations were always deep. I learned something every time we meet. It's not like it's bringing me down. I just miss having them around. And sometimes when the lights are low, I remember Earl, Snooks, and Bo. Talking about my old friends. Talking about know I'll see them once again. Yes.